Sweet Spirit of God, feel at home in me. Oh, you affirm that I love you, and I will love you forever.
Got to know has been a very, very impactful association and mutually beneficial. So I want to thank you, sir, for having me around. I want to also thank you for coming. Can you turn to your neighbor and just congratulate your neighbor that you made it to this conference? You made it to this conference. You know, the greatest investment anyone can make in life is an investment into your mind and into your spirit. Many people feed their bodies and they grow in their bodies, but they forget to feed their minds, and they forget that, you know, the outcome of their life is dependent on the outcome of their minds. If their minds grow, you can't grow on the inside and stand still on the outside. Is it possible? You can never grow on your inside and outside you are standing still, because where your mind is, it will eventually drag your body there. Is it true? Wherever your mind is, it will always eventually do what? Drag your body there. So people who commit to make investments into their mind, they are actually making an investment into their future. They are making investment. It's just a matter of time. Time is what separates people who have committed themselves to making such investment versus those who were not making such investments. Can I get a witness in the house? So can we pray in Jesus' name? Father, we thank you for the benefit of gathering here, the gift of your presence whenever we gather. We pray that as we listen one more time, Lord, let there be an investment deposit into our spirit. Let somebody live here challenged. Let somebody live here affected. Let somebody live here edified. Let somebody live here with a new, better, and much more powerful way of thinking, that at the end of the day, lives will be changed and your name will be glorified. In Jesus' precious name we have prayed. Amen. Developing your business strategy. Key scripture I like to begin with here are these two. The first one is Ecclesiastes chapter 10 and verse 15. It says, the labor of the foolish, you know, everybody labors, but there is a labor of a wise man and the labor of a foolish man. He says the labor of a foolish man, what does it do? It wearies every one of them, beginning from the man himself. Okay, he wearies both him and all his associates and everybody that has dealings with him. He says the labor of the foolish wearieth every one of them. Why now? The reason is because he does not know how to do what? To go into the city. Everybody will want to go into the city. Everybody will want to enter into a place that is much more better than where they are. Is it true? But it is not in the desire. Desire has never been enough. Proverbs 18:11 verse 1, it says, through desire a man having separated himself does what? He seeks and does what? Intermeddles with wisdom, which means desire is supposed to push a man to begin to interact with wisdom, because it is the interaction with wisdom that brings a change of story. Desire is not enough. Am I communicating here? So you see here that the labor wearies because this man, although he wants to have a good life, he wants to have a business success, he does not know how to go about it. So anyone who wants to get to the next level in life, in business, in whatever thing he is believing God for, what he's supposed to look out for is not just the desire, but how to get there. Am I communicating? How to get there. You see again in 1 Corinthians chapter 9 verse 27, it says, I therefore run. This is Paul speaking. He said, I therefore run, not as uncertainly. Any person that does not know how to get to the city or how to get the business moving is running uncertainly. Okay, he said, when I fight, I don't fight as one that does what? Beats the air. In other words, I know how to deliver my punches. I know where to target. so that with minimal effort my results will be better. Am I communicating here? So he says that's how I approach. And if you look at the sum total of these two scriptures, you can see that it is an invitation to be strategic. Is it true? It is an invitation for anyone who is embarking on anything to go beyond just merely doing it to being strategic. Every person in business that has survived in business for some time and recorded measurable progress in business, you will notice a common indices or indicator about each of the businesses, and that is the fact that they are strategic. They are what? Strategic. Let's go to the next slide. Let's go to the next slide. So what is strategy? Strategy is simply how you will go about achieving your goals. How you will go about. One of the greatest dilemmas we have in this country is that we want to move to the next level in the country, but we have leadership that don't know how to take us to the next level. Is it true? That's the problem. I've shared a story before about Japan. Japan, after the Hiroshima, Japan had the problem of how do we get back our nation? There is no natural resource in Japan. How many of you know that? No one natural resource in Japan. Okay? And so how do we get back our nation? How do we get back on our feet? Everything has been devastated here. And so they engaged the services of a renowned professor then, and the professor came up with a strategic national vision, strategic plan that will take the country from where they are to the next level. And it was a 40-year plan. It was a 40-year plan. And then when the plan was brought out, everybody looked at it and saw that the plan was a watertight plan. It was a beautiful plan. It was a plan that was going to take the country to the next level and make them to become one of the G8 countries in no distant time. And so what happened? Japan now said, whoever is going to come into a political office or whoever is going to come into leadership in the country must demonstrate thorough knowledge of this plan. That will be the basis for us even considering you in the first place. And then coincidental with the regime that you want to come into, maybe it is the one that is referred to the 8th year, you must, in addition to demonstrating knowledge of the plan, you must also demonstrate knowledge of how to fulfill that plan. How many of you agree with me that it is too late for you to know how to lead the people when you're in power? The best time to know how to lead the people is before you get into power. In the same way, the best time to know how to do well in a business is before you get into the business. Somebody hearing me? That's why you even hear Bible said, he said that anybody who wants to build a tower, not a bungalow. If you want to build a tower, what did he say? That your first step is to do what? Sit down. Forget the euphoria. Forget the excitement. Even if you have capital, the presence of physical money is not a license to start a business if you are not strategic in that business. Am I communicating here? The presence of physical. So people say, the reason why I can't start a business now is because there is no capital. I don't have any money. It's not true. There is this brain capital. There is this strategic capital. In fact, if you have a good strategy, in your strategy, money will be attracted to you. Is it true? In your strategy. And so it is important for someone to be strategic enough to know how you will get or go about achieving your goals. So strategy also is a careful plan or method or approach to achieving a goal. It is a long-term plan. How many of you want to be in business for short term? Short term. Nestle has been in business for over 150 years now. Nestle. The man had long died. Okay? And it's of global repute all over the world. Nestle. Their products are trusted. Their products are respected. Their products have good market value. In fact, in the Nigerian stock exchange, Nestle is one of the highly quoted stocks. Is it true? It's not by mistake. You can fail by mistake, but you cannot succeed by mistake. Is somebody hearing me? Success is intentional. Success is deliberate. And you have to put deliberate things in place, strategies that will put you precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little, until you eventually arrive at your destination. Am I communicating this afternoon? Okay, so business strategy is fundamentally about how you are going to respond to what's happening in your market. How you are going to respond, remember, that can range from customer needs, okay, to pricing, to customer dissatisfaction, to your competitors. What are you going to do when the dynamics of the market changes? How do you change and change quickly? Am I communicating? Change quickly in such a way that it positions you and gives you an edge year in, year out, day in, day out. A strategy is solid when all the assumptions that you have made, at the time that you made or created that strategy have been validated and is tested for accuracy. That's why when you are making up a plan or a strategy, you've got to be very realistic. It has to follow the SMART analysis. That is, it has to be specific, it has to be measurable, it has to be achievable, it has to be realistic, it has to be time bound, and I have to add E and R. That is not just smart, but smarter. It has to be effective, and it has to be reviewable. Am I communicating? It has to be effective, result producing, and it has to be what? Reviewable. So it provides a good strategy will help you to make what? Good investment decisions. Once you have that strategy on ground, the next thing to do is just to follow it. Are we together? That's what you need to do after that. You just follow the plan, follow the strategy. Okay, so a good strategy will help you to make investment decisions, like how and where you would like to spend your money. Because if you have clearly spelled out in your strategy that this is how you need to spend money in order to be able to get so and so outcome, when resources come into your hands, they will have direction. Is it true? They will have direction. But if you don't have the strategy, this money is called liquid. As it enters your hands, some other things will just take it away. And then by the time you compute at the end of the year, or you're like, the money did really. Have you ever gone through this experience where you thought that money didn't pass through your hands, but by the time you sat down and did some due diligence, you're like, what? I thought God did not bless me, but God really blessed me more than I thought. Am I communicating here? So you find out that when you have a good strategy, it will give direction to your finances in that business and the deployment of the resources that are available to you. Okay, it also provides a guidance on how you prioritize your business projects and other activities within your business organization, how you will allocate and optimize resources I mentioned, and then the ultimate is make profits that generate above average returns. Don't just go into business with a plan to have returns. You go into business with a plan to go above average. Because when you are just average, you are like anybody else. Is it true? If you are like anybody else, then people have the option of dumping you. But when you stick your neck out, that is, you have come out from the crowd. Am I communicating here? You are above average. Then you have given people an added reason to prefer you as compared to others. Are we together? You've given people another reason. So I'm not going to come today to tell you step by step and say to do a business strategy. Strategy one is this, because as diverse are the various businesses, so diverse also are the steps of the strategies. But what we will be looking at are the indicators, the common things that you have to make sure that in preparing your strategies, you must make sure that you take care of these things. Are we together? So that whether you are into telecoms business, you are into transport business, you are into hospitality business, or whatever kind of business that you want to be into, you have these common indicators that will help you to succeed or build a watertight strategy. So your business strategy must, number one, give your business what? Competitive advantage. What will make others to prefer you other than the rest of the business or similar businesses? Competitive advantage. Okay, number two, a business strategy must overcome the threats of new entrants. Are these real-time challenges? Okay, you came into the business. How many of you know that the moment you come into business, or you start a business line in a certain locality and you seem to be the first that started it, and people just notice that customers are gravitating to you, watch within the next 1 month, you will find out that people will want to come in. There are those that are proactive and there are those that are reactive. They will want to come into exactly the same business, okay, because they feel that if it's working for A, when I come, I can slash his customers by half and also make it work for me. But you must plan against that. 3, you must give your business strategy. You must give your business an effective market positioning. You must position your business effectively in the market such that whether threats come or not, you are continuously turning in the expected results of your business. The expected result, the intended result. And then number 4, it must be able to manage the bargaining power of suppliers. We'll explain that as we go down the road. So let's go to the first one, competitive advantage. Okay, we've said that your strategy must give you what? Competitive advantage. And we said competitive advantage is the ability of a business to outperform is what? The ability, and I would dare say the ability of the business to outperform its competitors effortlessly. Okay, the ability of that business. Now the competitive advantage also will allow your business to achieve superior margins and generate value for the company or the business as well as its shareholders. That is, if your business has been quoted into the stock market and things like that. And I need to speak this way. Perhaps you don't have a business that is in the stock market. You are the next big thing that will happen in Jesus' name. Okay. So again, your competitive advantage must, and I say must, have this attribute of being difficult to duplicate or impossible. Okay? Because if it is easy to duplicate, then it's no longer a competitive advantage. Is it true? If it's easy, if your competitor can quickly just come and do exactly what you did and sweep through your market, then that thing you called a competitive advantage was not a competitive advantage. So to build a competitive advantage, your business must be able to detail, as you're planning your strategy, you must be able to detail a particular benefit that you provide to your target market. You must be able to detail that in ways that your competitors cannot. Did somebody catch that point? You have detailed your benefit. It is unique to you. When Cowbell started, as at that time that they started, at least for some years, okay, they were able to produce sachet milk that was affordable to people, the low-income earners, and they were not after making tremendous profit by price appreciation. They wanted to make their profit by turnover. So they knew that if they have many people patronizing, how many of you agree that even if you make as small as 1 naira per product, but you have 5 million subscribers per month to that product, that is, you have 5 million customers who buy from that your product, how much would you make as profit in that month? So you see that your profit was not made as a result of jacking up your price by 100 naira, by 200 naira, but your profit was made by what? Turnover. Now, Cowbell understood that if they make it available to the low-income earners, they will have a wider market penetration. Okay, they will have patronage, and then over time, the profit, no matter how small, times the number of people who buy from them, they will still make money. Am I communicating here? Okay, so how do you establish a competitive advantage? 3 major ways. Number 1, through cost leadership. Through cost leadership. That is in a situation where your advantage is making your price of your products or your service the lowest. Now that's one of the things that many businesses in Nigeria, has struggled to come to terms with. But if anybody or in business can think through and say, if I'm coming into this locality, how many of you agree with me that 2 major things about customers, they want their needs to be met, 1, okay, and at a price that is the lowest. Is it true? How many of you agree with me that even if somebody is your church member and is selling a shoe Okay? And as you entered into the market, you found out that his own shoe is sold for 7,000 naira. And you were just doing a little market survey. You moved into somebody else's shop who had exactly the same shoe, same quality, same everything, but his own was selling for 5,000 naira. Would you say, oh, my church member, I just like his, I like him, let me go and buy that one that is 7,000? Would you do that? Why wouldn't you do that? Because market, as far as procurement of products or services are, it's not based on sentiments. You deliver to me what I need, I pay you, and it has nothing to do with where you come from or where we are, which church we attend. Okay, so cost leadership, very key. The second one is what? Product differentiation. Now, Walmart capitalized on cost leadership to make sure that, all over the state you have Walmart everywhere. Okay, now, but they make sure that when you, by the way, Walmart is the biggest supply chain business in the world. The biggest supply chain business, Walmart. Now, they made sure that go anywhere around the states for a particular product, you will get it at the cheapest possible price there. And they make money. So that is what a competitive advantage for them. So you also have another one, which is product differentiation. That is, you want to make your product of a superior standard globally, that anybody who picks that product anywhere, they can attest to the fact that this product is of global repute. Are we together? Now, a typical company I would like to mention, you can go to the internet and find out, is Louis Vuitton. How many of you know Louis Vuitton? Louis Vuitton is a French international fashion house, and they have international presence in over 50 countries. In over 50 countries, okay, in the world. And their product is of high class. For 6 years run, they won the best in terms of luxury brand. Okay, they won the first, and they are not afraid to put their price the way they put it, because they know that if you don't go for it, there are many more waiting for you to just clear so that they can come. Am I communicating here? So how they established their own competitive advantage was by product differentiation. There are some people that, as far as they are concerned, they are looking for the top-notch brand. Is it true? And they are willing to pay for it. How many of you agree with me? They are willing to pay for that top-notch brand. Then you also have, another competitive advantage, which is focus. You come into a business and you just carve out, that you have limited resources, so to speak, but you carve out a particular niche, no matter how small the segment is, and you make sure that the needs around that particular segment, you are the one that is providing to such a point that you are a household name. As far as that segment is concerned, whenever any other one comes, they will say, if you know be Panadol, you know go fit be like Panadol. Next slide. Examples of competitive advantage when planning your business strategy. Examples of competitive advantage can be, number one, access to resources that are restricted to your competitors. Your resources in this case may be where you get your materials from. Okay, maybe your competitors get their materials at 100 naira per unit, and you have been able to discover, unique to you, I repeat, you've been able to discover, unique to you, where you can get the same product, no loss in quality, but you are able to get the same product at 60 naira. Please, while your competitor is selling it at 150 naira, won't you comfortably sell it for 120 naira? Because where you bought is lower than where your competitor bought his own. Okay, so your profit has not dropped. Am I communicating? Your profit has not dropped. Okay, you only had access to a resource that was restricted from your competitors, and for you it is a competitive advantage. Another one is highly skilled labor, and I repeat, highly skilled labor. If you have a crack team that is outstanding as part of your staff or business associate, you know that you don't need to do too much training People who are highly skilled, not too much training. Is it true? Okay. Very minimal supervision. They understand the vision of your business and they can run with it. Okay. When you have such, it's an advantage for you. Okay. Then you have a unique geographical location for your business. I hear there is a place here in Enugu called Holy Ghost. Can somebody help me? I hear that it's a very high traffic region. Now imagine that you have a particular business for everyday users, okay? And you are that business is located at that place. You don't need much advertisement because the location advertises you already. Is it true? It advertises you. So when you have a unique geographical location for your business, it's also a competitive advantage for you if you happen to have it. Then, as much as possible, try to make sure that your location is very strategic, by the way. Then, ability to manufacture or sell a product at the lowest cost. I don't need to overflow that. I've talked about it, isn't it? Then, brand image recognition. You worked on your product, you've worked on your service, you've worked on it to such a point where you become a brand, a household name. Okay, it will be difficult for people to do away. How many of you know that at the point your product or your service becomes a brand, people at that point become sentimentally attached to you? Not necessarily because your quality is always maintained at that point, but because over the years you have delivered to a point where they trust you. Are you getting my point? So when you are even inadequate, they make excuses for you. At the point you become a brand, people make excuses for you, except you do a mistake that is very, very, very catastrophic. Is it true? Okay, next slide. The threats of new entrants. Okay, that's the next thing I'm planning. Your strategy or building your business strategy. You've got to address the threats of new entrants. And I said threats of new entrants are the threats that are posed by new competitors within the same business industry as you. Okay, and when these threats are on ground, they always have a tendency to exert significant influence on the ability of the current businesses, in this case your own business, okay, to generate and sustain profit. That's the problem with new entrants. When they come, how many of you know that? Okay, back in where I live, Uyouko, okay, there was a time we didn't have much of fast food services. Okay, so whenever a new fast food joint is open right now, you don't need any advert. You just see a gravitation. And who beside that fast food service, if they don't produce, or if their service doesn't it doesn't taste well, okay, how many of you know that at the time a new entrant comes in, okay, they enjoy what appears to be like a goodwill? Is it true? People just want to try, because inside the human nature we always want to try out new things. Is it true? So they say, let's check out the place. And then, but if you ride well on that goodwill, okay, to make sure that your products are good, your services are wonderful, they're impeccable, by the time the people come and experience your product or service, they say, this is now my destination of choice. So how do you, an existing business, build your strategy in such a way that the presence of a new entrant doesn't intimidate you out of business? Overcoming the test of new entrants is simple, by building a strong barrier to new entrants. I repeat, by building a strong barrier to new entries. Okay, understand that the strength of new entrants depends on the strength of the barriers to entry. That is if the strength of the barriers to entry of the existing business is very strong, the strength of the new entrant will be challenged. Is it true? So see the next slide. So what are the typical barriers that in business you put in place that it will now lower the threats of the new entrants? Number one is brand loyalty. When customers are loyal to your brand, okay, it will be difficult for them to leave you. Okay, they may just, and then it even adds a plus to you that the new entrant that came, when they went to test it, they found out that if you know be Panadol, you know go fit be like Panadol. Wow, I thought the building looks good, but when I entered and I tested their product, I beg, let me go back to what I have been enjoying all these years. Am I communicating here? This one has been tried, time tested, and constantly delivering on the expectation to the customer. Next one is cost advantage. Cost advantage. That is, you have so made your products an all-time lowest in price, year in, year out. There have been successive businesses that have come in, tried to challenge you. They have not been able to drop their price sustainably like you. Your market will gravitate back to you. Am I communicating here? Next one is capital requirement. If you want to come into a sector of business, for instance, the one that Cost Charles has been, and you know that to do that business you need voluminous of billions, okay? Voluminous of billions for you to and then just because you had 500 million, you say I want to challenge Cost Charles right now. You know that you have a very long way to go, because one showroom, just one showroom, and is enough to take care of you. You know, so they don't see you as a challenge. So if you want to compete, okay, then your capital requirement must exceed the capital requirement of your existing competitor. Not just that, your skills and product delivery in addition to that capital must also exceed that of your competitor, the one who was there before you. Am I communicating? How many of you agree that anyone in the US, for instance, who wants to come and beat Walmart? Okay. I am not saying that it is impossible. I'm only saying you have to work very hard. Praise God. Okay, next one is what? Access to suppliers and distribution channels. If you have great access to your suppliers, much better. You know, if every time your product has depleted, you have to travel to Lagos, and the way you do in your business, you have to go by bus, and then by the time you go by bus, you know, you tell your customers have come, they say that they need this product. You say, okay, no, you're not going to now, you're going to in the next 2 weeks. Come back 2 weeks. One of the things that customers don't like is that they come to you and they need a product or service from you, and you postpone them. The reason why they came that time was because they were in need of it that time. Am I communicating here? So that if you have a good access to suppliers and distribution channels, then it means at short notice you can pull your products. Am I communicating here? And if your customer just told you, I need this product right now, you say, okay, just give me, hold on, 1 or 2 calls. You get what I'm saying? And within a short moment, that your product is there, that service is there, and you render it to your customer. You agree with me that becomes your barrier, okay, to a new entrant who does not know how to do that? That becomes your leverage. Another one is government regulations. I know that we have a challenge with government regulations in Nigeria to an extent, but then government regulations can challenge new entrants. You know, I know it's only in Nigeria that somebody you can open a pharmaceutical store and you don't need to be a pharmacist. You just need to borrow the license of, you know what I'm saying? You can relate to what I'm talking about. Okay, but it's not like that in other countries where regulations work well. Are you getting my point? You have to be a recognized, registered person that possesses the license. Okay, now but when you make sure that all the government regulations are obeyed and intact, even in a situation that we find ourselves in Nigeria, then it means that just complying with government, because all it takes for government to sweep you out of his feet is for somebody who just wakes up, maybe somebody who came into power and just wakes up and say, we have not been regulating this industry very well, but henceforth we need to regulate it better. And we'll be telling you, as at the time they want to do that, you were not lined up properly. Am I communicating? You didn't have all the requirements to do that business. You're already on your way out. Are you getting my point? So government, through their policies, through their decrees and all that, they can actually determine who stays in business. Okay, if the government doesn't like you or your business, they don't need to come and tell you they don't like you. The person in power will just simply stand and just say the government has now decided to roll out so and so policies, and then that policy automatically begins to close down your business. Are you getting my point? Now when you line up with government regulations, you're already well positioned. against any trouble. And then retaliation. Now this retaliation, for me as a person, is not morally okay. However, we cannot doubt the fact that it is in place in this country. Okay? Where the moment there is a new entrant trying to come, the existing guys, you know what I'm saying, gang up and frustrate his life. You know what I'm saying? Can you relate to what I'm talking about? They gang up and then retaliate and so make sure that the person's life is miserable. The next thing the person will say is, I'm not going, I'm not doing again. They say business, they say this business. It's not, it's frustration. Especially if you are coming in with some benefits that are threatening their own. Okay? And they say, this union said the price of this thing is this price. Who are you to come and say the price should be lower than that? They burn down your shop. Can you relate to what I'm talking about? Okay. But what I'm saying is, this is not a morally right approach to business. Okay? So high threats versus low threats of new entrants. I've said your goal is to build your strategy in such a way that you now have low threats to new entrants. Did you get what I'm saying now? Now I've said here to have high threats to new entrants. Okay? All it takes is low brand loyalty. Okay? But if you want to have low threats, let's focus on this because of time. The low, because your goal is to make sure that you build your strategy in such a way that you have low threats to new entries. So to do that, you must have high brand loyalty in your industry. To do that, your brand name must be well known. Okay? To do that, you must have high initial capital investment. You know, one of the problems we have in businesses across Nigeria is people don't plan for cash flow. Are you getting my point? You know, if you don't have cash flow in business, when demands come, that's when you postpone your customer. Is it true? Because you don't have what it takes to meet the needs of the customers. Okay? And when once your customers repeatedly know that you do not meet their needs on time, your business has started going down without knowing. Okay? So you must have high initial capital investment, and then let me add high continuous liquidity. You mustn't have the cash available all the time, but it's good if you have it. But you must have a way to get money quickly to fund the demands of your business. Somebody get my point? If a big supply comes now, and you know that if you make that supply, that you are going to make 1 million naira profit from that supply, you should, even if you don't have physical cash there, you must know how to quickly. Are you getting my point? That's why integrity in business is not negotiable. Because when you have a trusted integrity in business, you secure goodwill from people. Are you getting my point? That people can say, okay, I know him. That whenever, money is given to him to do business, he will always be committed to pay back. Are you getting my point? Okay, strong government regulations. Okay, that is once the government, I've talked about it, is strong enough, it is in your favor, especially when you line up with the government regulations. Are you getting my point? Okay, it makes any new entrant to be a low threat to you. Are you getting my point? Then you have proprietary technology is in use. The best way to describe proprietary technology in use is to compare when we had recharge card business, where as in you had card, sell card, and somebody is using card, selling and doing business. Now, today, airtime top-up in banks came up, and anybody who is still trying to do recharge card business as in card sales, you are too late. Because can I have a witness in the house? In fact, right now, those that used to sell that card, but they have not reinvented themselves, they have not innovated, they are now quarreling with banks. Is it true? They are starting what looks like a network marketing kind of selling of recharge card. How many of you know what I'm talking about? But you don't need to be angry with the bank. What bank did was they leveraged on a proprietary technology which was in use, and that does not make them to be afraid of the guy that is selling the recharge card. Because in the comfort of your homes as customers, you sit down and you don't need to stroll around to look for recharge card. You can just simply do what? Top up. They make it easier by the day. Dial this, and then just put the amount, and your account is automatically credited. Even the guys that do those top of the 30 naira, you know what I'm saying? You load 25 naira, you collect 30 naira. They are still challenged because that one is at an interest, isn't it? It's at an interest of 5 naira for every 25 naira. But for the bank, you are paying for 1,000 and you are getting 1,000. So when you possess a technology that is top notch, you are not afraid of a new entrant. Are you getting my point? Okay. Now, I won't dwell on the retaliation. Okay. High threat of retaliation. You know, when somebody knows, as I'm coming into this business now, try. The way these guys are ganging up, they will frustrate me. Eh? And that guy is already afraid. He's not a threat to you, isn't it? Now, but you don't do that. Don't do that. So I've said, where do you want to be? Do you want to be here or do you want to be here? I'm asking. Do you want to be in this first one where it says high barriers to entry makes for low threats to new entrants, makes for increased profit potential? Is that where you want to be? Who wants to be here? Okay, so that means if you want to be here, then you need to go back to that table, the table before. Help me. Concentrate on this. Okay, and that will help you to have high barrier to entrance. Okay, and then it will potentially increase your chances of making profit in business. 2 slides after. Okay, the third one is market what? Positioning. Market positioning. And what is market positioning? The ability to influence customer or consumer perception. Okay, see, how many of you know that even in business there's the psychological aspect of business? When we say that a product has become a brand, it means that the business has penetrated the minds of the customers, isn't it? To such a point that the perception of the customer concerning that business has made them to stay with that product or that service. So, and that is called market positioning. Next slide. Okay, how do you position yourself or position your business? Ways you can position it. You can position it, but sorry, it may not be so clear. Okay, but ways you can position your business as far as market position is concerned. Number one is product attributes or benefits. You need to work on your products in the minds of your customers for them to relate your product to a certain benefit. Are you getting my point? So that every time that product is mentioned, the benefit comes automatically to the minds of your customers. When that happens, you have positioned your company or your business in the market properly. Then another one is product price, where you associate your brand or product with competitive pricing. I will not stop talking about competitive pricing, because even Bible says that the customer is always the customer is always complaining that the price is too high. It's the problem, because the customer is always complaining that. Even if they say the thing has been dropped to 100, they will always, okay, well, why not 60? You understand what I'm saying? It's finally dropped to 60. Somebody comes the next day and says, why not 40 now? Because if it's possible, you want to get that thing free. Okay, so product price is another way to position the business. Another one is product quality. I mentioned Louis Vuitton. Okay, when your quality is so outstanding, it gives you a market positioning already. Okay, and but it's one thing for your product to be good. It's another thing for you to sell the impression. You get my point now? Sell that impression. You know, how many of you have seen some good people but everybody thinks they are bad people? Misrepresentation of character, misrepresentation of identity. Does it happen? It can also happen in business, that you have a great product, but for whatever reason, you've not done a good work at taking your product into the minds of your market, and so they don't understand how good you are. Even if you have to do experiments, whatever you need to do, you just must succeed to sell it to their minds that your product is of quality. If you want to do tests, whatever you want to do, convince the people. Once they are convinced you have positioned yourself in the market. Product use and application. Associating your brand or your product with a specific use that they know that no one can give it to them like you do. Okay? It's still a positioning. Now I'm specifically talking about the impression you sell into the minds of your customers, your market. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. Then competitors. Making customers think that your brand is better than your competitors. You have to sell it. You have to make it. But don't do chop dog. You know what I mean? You don't know dog chop dog? What I mean by dog chop dog is in trying to go up, you are trying to bring another person down. Okay? And that's what we do in our political system here, where two people are campaigning, isn't it? Two people are campaigning. Why don't you campaign by coming to tell us what you will deliver to the nation? But rather, you came and all you are saying, you are telling me how bad the other party is. And at the end of it, you say campaign over. Now I sit back and I'm listening. You have finished campaigning, but what did you tell me that you, who is telling me that the other one is bad, what have you told me that when you come into power, you will do? Are you getting me? And the whole system continues to believe in it, and they say, hey, PDP, yes, it's true they are bad. APC is true they are terrible. You understand what I'm saying? So you want to come into the market, yes, you have competitors, but let the superiority of the quality of your product or service and what you have to meet the needs of the people be what you use to sell yourself. Is somebody hearing me? And not by telling me that the other person's product is terrible. As much as you are in that business to make money, that person is also in that business to make money. Are we together? And the world is, we have at least how many billion people? 7 billion people. You can't even exhaust all that. Okay? So why don't you just take your own segment, do well, gain control of the market, and also allow the other person to do well? Are we together? It's not crowded up in the sky, but it's very crowded down here. So the best way to do is to move to where there's no crowd up there, and God has made it available for everybody. Am I communicating here? Thank you very much. Let's go to, okay, so how, I've said this is the pressure. Oh, you've gone to the next one. Okay, now that's the bargaining power of suppliers. What is that? It is the pressure that is exerted by suppliers on businesses. You own a business, but you have a lot of people that you relate with to supply you your products that you in turn sell. Am I communicating here? So what I mean by bargaining power of suppliers is this: these people that supply you this product have a direct, or let's put it this way, an indirect influence on your business, because the day they don't supply you, and if they were your chief suppliers, it means that as far as the particular product that they supplied you is concerned, you will now have it unavailable for your customers out here. Are you getting my point? Now, if these people, come to a point where they begin to exert pressures on you, and I'll show you the diverse ways that they exert pressures on businesses. Okay? When they do that, they do it by raising their prices for you. Sometimes the prices that they raise can be indiscriminate. Sometimes it is not reasonable. Okay? Sometimes they just want to make take advantage of you. Maybe they notice that you depend on them a lot. It is only them that you buy from. You understand what I'm saying? It's only them that supply you, and they notice that whenever they say they don't have it right now, you tend to wait. You understand what I'm saying? And until when they have it, that can put pressure on your business. Then they also do it by lowering their quality. Sometimes they just tell you, yes, gala. They drop the price, the quality of their gala, okay, and then they sell it to you at the same price that they used to sell. They've already compromised your business, okay? They've compromised your business, and then they also do it by reducing the availability of their product under any guise, okay? Under any guise. Sometimes when they are about to increase their price, what they will do is they will simulate a scarcity. A false scarcity. Okay, they simulate it, and then your desperation, they play, your desperation becomes an advantage to them, and they use it to put you under pressure. What happens is, as your price begins to increase as a result of the pressure put on you by these suppliers, what happens? Remember, if price was your advantage and the price is now increasing unreasonably, you are losing advantage. And by losing advantage, your business is gradually being affected. Am I communicating? So you must plan against suppliers. One of the ways to plan against the bargaining power of your suppliers is to make sure that for every product that you have supplied to you, have at least 5 to 10 alternate equally vibrant suppliers. Am I communicating here? So that when one fails, the failure of one, 9 are waiting to supply. Are you getting my point? When they get to find out that they are indispensable and they really value the business they do with you, they will sit up. Somebody hearing me? They will sit up. Okay? So types of suppliers, they can be manufacturers that supply you, they can be vendors that supply you, they can be distributors that supply you, they can be wholesalers that supply you, they can be independent suppliers, they can be importers or exporters, as the case may be, they can be drop shippers that supply you. Next slide. But then, what are the factors you use to determine the bargaining power of suppliers? Number one is the number of suppliers relative to buyers. I just mentioned it now, isn't it? Number of suppliers relative to buyers. If you have fewer suppliers, okay, the tendency for the pressure to be exerted by you by the bargaining power of your suppliers will increase. Is it true? Okay. Again, dependence of a supplier sale on a particular. You get my point? Now, in this case, remember, if the supplier, this one works if the buyer is huge, like a multinational company, that every time the guy is supplying, he has to supply with 10 trucks. You know what I'm talking about? Who is he playing in favor of? Is it the supplier or the buyer? Talk now. Dependence of a supplier sale on a particular buyer. What I'm asking, who will that one be in favor of? The buyer. Because the supplier is depending on the sale that he gets from the buyer. Am I communicating here? But I said that works in a case where the buyer is huge. You understand what I'm saying? Each time they make a purchase, the graph of the business of the supplier will have a dip, a positive, it will move positively upwards. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to talk too much to the supplier. The supplier will never manipulate price with you. Is it true? Because once you just cough, they will come begging. Are you getting my point? That's the dynamics. The next one is switching cost of suppliers. Switching cost is simply the cost that you incur just by changing suppliers. Okay? Now that you feel this one more if you rely on only one supplier year in, year out. Are you getting my point? So by this time, your business is somehow majorly dependent on that supplier. Are you getting my point? So by the time this supplier is beginning to frustrate you, okay, it will take a little bit of time. I get my point? For you to switch to another supplier, and that will incur cost on you. Are you getting my point? It can also incur losses on you. Are you getting my point? But you can handle that by making sure that you have how many? You have a number of what? Suppliers that are equally competent. Am I communicating? Okay. And then you have availability of, where is the time? Okay. Okay, I've seen it. It's relocated from there. Okay, then we have availability of suppliers for immediate purchase. Okay, now if this supplier, you lost that one, isn't it? Because of the way he's behaving. But you don't have suppliers that are available for you to engage them immediately. For as long as it takes, is for as long as it's going to have impact on you. Are you getting my point? Does it make sense? And then finally, possibility of forward integration of suppliers. What does forward integration mean? Forward integration simply means a situation where manufacturers, what happens majorly is manufacturers, when they manufacture products, in the supply chain, they now give it to what? Wholesalers, or who sell to retailers. Now, sometimes in a bid for manufacturers to maximize their profit margin, they now want to go into the supply chain line. Am I communicating? So they produce and they also want to go in and sell, do the wholesale directly. Sometimes they even go as far as the second generation doing retail directly. Now, that act by the manufacturer, okay, downline of their production is called forward integration. Am I communicating? Okay, so when you have a case of forward integration, okay, and your suppliers perceive you that that's what you do, it can have an effect, okay, of your business. Am I communicating? Does it make sense? It has a way of having an effect on your business. Now, choose the one that works best for you and make sure that you work on those ones to make sure that your business is guarded and protected from the negative effects of the bargaining power of suppliers. So, which one do you want? Do you want to have a strong bargaining power of supplier? Okay, those that say that they want to have a strong bargaining power of suppliers, hands up. Those that say they want to have a weak bargaining power of suppliers, hands up. Those that are neither here nor there, hands up. The reason why I'm asking this question is to test whether you understand what we are talking about. Are you getting my point? So, how many of you want to have a strong, this is all there. This is the indices of a strong one. That's the indices of a weak one. Those that want to have, that's, you are in business and you have suppliers. You want to have strong bargaining power of supplier. Hands up. Please go back to the definition of bargaining power of supplier so that I will ask that question one more time and we close. Okay? What is bargaining power of supplier? Read it. 1, 2, go. Who is this business? You. So, who wants to have a strong bargaining power of supplier? Hands up. Who wants to have a weak bargaining power of suppliers? Hands up. That's where to be. Are you getting it now? You need to work on your business that as far as you are the one, doing that business and relating with your suppliers must perceive you in such a way that they see you as the strong side while they are on the weak side. Are you getting my point? That way, it gives you a competitive advantage and makes you to stay in business and you are not threatened by any of those challenges in your business. I conclude by saying, why are we developing a business strategy? Why are we saying all this? Why all the information? Why all this information? So much brain work, so much paperwork. You're writing a lot of things. The question is this: after this session, are you ready to put into practice what you have gotten? There is this scripture, Psalms 19:11. It says, moreover, by them thy servants are warned. Nevertheless, it is in the keeping of it that there is great reward. So you choose the realm you want to exist. Is it just the realm of excitement and inspiration? Or you want to be in the realm of actual commanding of results? Which one do you want to be? Actual commanding of result. A lazy man, Proverbs 12:27. A lazy man roasted not that which he took in hunting, but the substance of the diligence is precious. If you are diligent, you will not just be in the realm of wishing that things happen. You will handle the substance of the things that you have been diligent. God bless you and have a wonderful time.